So I was asked to introduce this honoree, and I did a little bit of homework, which was really a great experience for me. I think it started in Bingham 218 back in the mid-'70s, so we have some folks here from that time. Read some pipe dream articles about Peter's experience in Bingham. And did anybody live in the same room all 4 years of their experience here? Peter did. And if you saw photos of his room, you would understand why nobody made him move. So his achievements, you can read about them, and I would encourage you to read about them. But Peter's an achievement of life. I've had an opportunity to get to know him over the last several days. I was privileged to meet him in New York earlier in the week. I wanted to meet him before tonight. And I wanted to see how much of Bingham 218 still existed for him. And I think he transferred it to Riverside Drive, apartment 305. It was a fascinating experience where every aspect, every element of real estate in that apartment is covered by an artifact of Peter's adventure and Peter's life experience. And when we talked about why the pieces were significant and what caused him to choose the pieces that he chose, from sculpture to puppetry to snakeskin to you name it, he said every piece represented a learning on his life journey. And he's spending his life, as he describes it to me, and I won't do it justice, Peter, I apologize. He's spending his life racing against his mortality and being certain that he fits in just as much as he can. And I will close by saying Socrates, I think, helps him with that. Socrates is his pet dragon lizard, which sat on the couch next to him while we were talking and looked quite interestingly and intriguingly at him every time he spoke. So it is my great privilege and my great honor to introduce Peter Guttman and bring him up here to talk about his achievements and the recipient of the Alumni Achievement Award. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for that very colorful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it is very humbling to be amongst so many extraordinarily accomplished individuals. For me, May 23rd, 1976 was the date that shook and shifted the tectonic plates of my existence. Only about 520 feet south of here, where we are at this very moment, stands what was then known as the Broome County Arena. B.B. King and Bruce Springsteen, and even just shortly before his death, Elvis Presley, had all performed there. Yet I suppose the biggest event I attended at that venue was the ceremony on the day I graduated from the State University of New York at Binghamton. I met my parents there just shortly before the ceremony and breathlessly told them it was the most exciting day of my life. My dad, understandably, thought I was referring to the cap and gown commencement about to take place. And my mom, perhaps a tad over-optimistically, thought I would shortly receive some kind of cum laude honor. When I told them instead that 3 hours earlier I had voluntarily jumped out of an airplane 4,000 feet above nearby Kirkwood, I could have sworn I detected a slight hint of disappointment on their faces. I had by then developed an instinctive conviction that if I could only conquer my fears and embrace the true, pure adrenaline and deliciousness of life's experiences, I could readily face all the future challenges that post-college life would throw my way. That particular certainty was actually the very most valuable lesson I learned during my 4 college years, but did not necessarily come easy. You see, though very destabilizing at the time, I was fortunate enough to experience my one and only midlife crisis during my sophomore college year at the ripe old age of 19. It was there as a pre-med, having already done prodigal Doogie Howser-style artificial heart research, which at the age of 12 had been profiled in medical magazines, that I found myself transformed from a budding cardiovascular surgeon into an itching to explore the world geography major. And one might say it was all Binghamton's fault. It was in Binghamton, you see, that this city boy first observed that winter snow can stay fluffy white, autumn leaves can burst into a dazzling palette of deciduous colors, spring mint sap could be boiled into mouth-watering syrup, and that the symphony of crickets on a summer night might crescendo for at least a few weeks. Nearby gorges and waterfalls invited soaking, fairy tale farm villages beckoned with barn sales and rustic cafes. Before too long, my artistic impulses were truly awakened and shifted away from vibrant scenes of medical illustration, which I had been doing at the time, toward renderings of magic realism, and then finally to outdoor photography that would spotlight the wonders of the world around me. And it was in the Fine Arts Building that one of my images headlined an annual student photography exhibition, which wound up sparking an even greater passion for that medium. Amongst this timeless dreamscape, I most viscerally recognized the unlimited magic of the world all around us and determined the importance of not letting our soul grow gray before our hair does. That thought might have made me wonder why I was actually in school. Yet here in Binghamton, one of the very few geography programs still taught in our geographically illiterate nation helped to forge my captivation with aerial photography, broaden a fascination with how cities develop, and unveil the majestic drama of meteorology, sparking, incidentally, a passion that led later to some thrilling chapters in tornado chasing. 222 countries, 7 continents, 7 hardcover books, 5 iPad apps, and 1 generation later, I found my scholastic immersion in this interdisciplinary science had come full circle when NBC News named my travel app as one of 8 outstanding apps for students. In fact, in many ways, aside from the role I've played as a father to my incredible son Chase, I can honestly say that what I'm most proud of is the fact that this #1 best-selling app, Beautiful Planet HD, has been adopted and incorporated into the social studies programs of school systems across the United States, as well as in several other countries. Tonight, I want to thank the Binghamton Alumni Association for this very humbling honor, as well as my decades-long friend Rick Nair, who first put my name into nomination. I also want to acknowledge this evening the selfless, loving support of my amazing wife, Lori, the great fortune of a wonderful family who are in attendance this evening, including my nieces, Allie, a recent alumna of Binghamton, and Jessie, now here in her sophomore year, as well as their parents, Leslie and Ken, and their grandfather, Joseph Green. Most especially, though, I'm blessed beyond words to have my mom, Judith Guttman, with me tonight. To see just where her son can eventually land after taking a 4,000-foot leap of faith. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for your kind attention.